Well, welcome. I want to take a few minutes at the beginning of our Congress to introduce you to the new institute, where we've been here for a whopping 8 months now, I think, to talk a little bit about the grand challenge that we're facing in agriculture, and also to introduce our evening speaker, who will get the dialogue started. The Institute for Sustainability, Energy, and Environment was created to bring the best minds at the University of Illinois together to really address grand challenges, to get us out of our departments, beyond our colleges, and start working together. Grand challenges, by their very nature, require a multi-pronged approach, including technological, scientific approaches, as well as cultural, social, and economic solutions. Our mission in iSEE, the Institute, is to leverage our enormous intellectual strengths at the University of Illinois to conduct interdisciplinary and actionable research addressing grand challenges in energy and environment, to help train the next generation of leaders in this area, and to make our campus a national model for sustainability. So each year, iSEE will host a major congress to draw attention to a major societal challenge, to bring our academic community together, faculty, staff, students, members of the community at large, to focus collectively on solutions and to inspire new collaborations and approaches to tackling these challenges. As Madhu mentioned, our inaugural Congress is titled Feeding 9 Billion, A Path to Sustainable Agriculture. There perhaps is no greater challenge than ensuring a secure, safe, and sustainable food supply to an ever-growing human population, and in doing so in a way that's equitable and reaches the most vulnerable among us. We must find a way to grow an agricultural system that's both ecologically and economically sustainable. Talk about this a little before dinner. We have an ever-increasing number of mouths to feed on this planet, and many of those mouths are eating higher up on the food chain. Less fruits, grains, and vegetables, and more meat. The combination of more people and a shift in diet is putting enormous pressure on the world's land and water resources and on the business of agriculture. When I was born, there were a little less than 3 billion people on this planet. Not very much long before that, it took all of human history to hit 1 billion people. This was the beginning of an explosive growth phase, and we're in it now. Our current population is 7.2 billion, and we're projected to reach 9 billion by 2040. So if I behave myself, eat well, get a little more exercise, and probably get lucky, I'm going to see that milestone. It's a frightening milestone indeed, and it possesses enormous challenges. While the growth of the human population is global, most of the growth will happen in sub-Saharan Africa, South and Southeast Asia, where climate change, heat, and drought are expected to hit hardest. These are subsistence farms with low inputs and low yields. Facing a perfect storm of climate change, explosive population growth, and less than supportive socioeconomic systems, these human populations are incredibly vulnerable. It raises the question, are we facing a disaster? But we've been here before. In the late 1960s, Paul Ehrlich predicted in his bestseller, The Population Bomb, that overpopulation would lead to massive famine, massive death in the human population in the 1970s and the 1980s. Before we could be gripped by Ehrlich's apocalypse, though, we were saved by a revolution, the Green Revolution. A revolution where from the 1960s to the 1990s, yields of many crops increased dramatically. Yields of rice and wheat in Asia doubled, and even as the continent's population increased by more than 60%, grain prices fell, the average Asian consumed nearly a third more calories, and poverty was cut in half. However, the Green Revolution came at a very steep cost. While the human capacity for innovation seems boundless, there are real limits to our life support systems on the planet. We have 134.1 billion square kilometers of land, not more, not less, of which 34% is already allocated to cropland and pasture. The historic conversion of native vegetation to crop and pasture land has caused a devastating loss of biodiversity. We didn't see Ehrlich's famines in the 1970s, but we're currently seeing widespread degradation of our ecological systems related to population growth. Humans, one species in an estimated 9 million on this planet, are currently using half of the plant biomass produced on the entire planet. 50% of our planetary productivity goes to feeding us, to meet our own needs. And agriculture, globally, produces 1/3 of the greenhouse gases that are driving an unprecedented rate of climate change. Faced with the inexorable march to 9 billion people, will we need another green revolution? One fueled by technology and by intensifying agriculture. Where will we grow all of this new food? And was Ehrlich really that wrong? So here lies the central question we're going to consider in this Congress. How do we produce more food with a smaller environmental footprint in ways that benefit the most vulnerable among us while still falling in the black on an economic spreadsheet? The goal of this Congress is to advance understanding of current scholarship surrounding sustainable agriculture. The Congress ought to function as a forum to catalyze an agenda for actionable research for ecological, technological, societal, and political solutions to the challenges that might prevent us from feeding the world. It is iSEE's hope, the Institute's hope, that the presentations and conversations held over the next few days open doors, provide inspiration for creative and progressive research.
Illinois.